Okay, so like we always do, we're going to visualize coming into the gym, right? So everyone close your eyes. And we're first going to walk into the future gym. First, we're going to enter in a little bit of a futuristic gym, something that doesn't really exist for most people. And then we're going to get back into like the default gym, like the regular gym. So you're coming out of your car, you're holding whichever pair of AR headset that you choose. Today, that might be the Vision Pro, that might be the HoloLens, that might even be the Tesla glasses that Tesla gave you from the last episode in the Tesla car. And you approach your new gym. As you walk in, this is what you see. It looks like an entire warehouse, like a huge warehouse, with obstacles and beams and columns, things that you run, jump over. There's ramps. It reminds you of laser tag that you did as a child. But here, instead of being strapped up with reflectives and fake guns, here you put on your AR headset. And what before was just bare bones, wood, blocks, things like that, now has an added layer through augmented reality of graphics and animations. The scenes change from deserts, with shifting sand dunes beneath your feet, to vibrant and lush forests and vines swinging in front of you, and you're climbing over trees. The areas change. And this becomes your workout, where it's not focused just on weights and things like that. What before might have been an entire circuit workout is now you trying to finish off an objective. And as you run and jump, you might collaborate with other people that are around you, or you might make your small teams, and you're trying to get an objective, whether it's catching a flag or whether it's for time. But when you go into a session over here, you're stepping into an entirely different world. And all these obstacles are tailor-made for you to reach your endurance, to get your squats in, to jump as high as you can. You're effectively doing burpees. You're doing a HIIT workout. You're experiencing a workout which before would have been numbers and reps and sets and all these things that you had to remember. And here it becomes more like a game.
So you could say that there would be different tracks for different fitness levels.
Yeah. So you could have different rooms that might be different worlds. You could have different teams based on different levels.
Yeah, but even different routes, right? Like even within the same place, like you can have one route that starts out as one route, and then that kind of like branches off, and then one path is more difficult, one is less.
Yeah, it takes you different places. And because it's AR and because the graphics are changing, we can still use the same walls, the same barriers, but make it look like a completely different part of the forest. So right. as you circle around, maybe if we showed you a camera footage of you circling around, or when they showed you the path, you actually really were running around in circles for an hour and a half. But you can feel like you're in an entirely different world where the scene is completely changing. So as you're running forward, the scene behind you could be changing when you come back into the circuit.
Right, you'll be doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Right, that's like how they make video games, or how they do CGI and stuff like that.
Exactly, but here you're working, you're in it, and it's also psychological. There was actually a research that they did this through kind of like, let's say, AR or VR glasses, but the idea was they would look at a plate and the camera would film the plate, but they would either make the image look bigger or smaller, and depending on that, they would trick their brain into, the person would think that, the plate looks 1.5 times bigger, and they would actually think like they're eating more food and get fuller quicker. It was an interesting visual. There's all these types of visual tricks that we can do to people.
The placebo effect.
Yeah, and you have tons of these styles, like similar to that, where you have like, have you seen the one where you have like two hands, one hand behind your back, and then they put it in front and they hammer it?
It's really cool. Even though it doesn't hurt, like you're getting the stimuli, and then. Right, I saw one where basically somebody gets hit really hard at the end of the whole video with a hammer, and he screams for a second. He doesn't hurt, but just the alarm, like you see him hanging here, he's like, ah, and it's like he realizes that nothing actually happened. But it's your body goes through that experience.
Yeah. But think about this room that you're going in where, maybe I'm jumping over the same obstacle, right? It's still 20 centimeters high. But the visuals make it look like it's even higher.
Your heart rate will also be different.
Your heart rate will go up.
If it's a crocodile or if it's just a hill.
Exactly. Or we could have the same path that you ran across before that was, just a small little path down to your cottage. And now it looks like you're, on this cliff a kilometer up and you have to balance and jump from pole to pole. We could do so much with this entire world where the graphics can change. And everybody's in the same room. You could have people doing... The idea would be, we got your heart rate up, you're doing different things, but the objectives, the goals, the way the game works changes from person to person, team to team, session to session. And so now, these kind of gyms, these kind of virtual reality or augmented reality gyms could start, going up against TRX and CrossFit and all these type of workouts which don't necessarily, like a CrossFit doesn't use all the gym equipment. Like if you go into a regular gym, 90% of those things you're not going to use. When you go into CrossFit, you use like a bar, you use maybe some kettlebells, you have some weights here and there, but you don't use what a regular person would have at a gym. You're timed, and it's based on, how quick you can do a set and how many reps you do it, and all those target different things. HIIT, like high interval training. It's not about smashing away at machines. It's about getting your heart rate up to go faster. Here, we can change these things up for you. And because there's so much data involved in the augmented reality, every time you go, your virtual trainer, which we're going to get into segment 3, makes it progressively harder or changes the routes. Or says, today you're based on, we're going to time you, and tomorrow you're going to do a lot more jumping, and it's going to seem like you're swinging from vine to vine, or, but you're in an experience.
Right. What are the hurdles? Like what do you have to solve in order to make that a reality?
So over here, I think a very big thing is position tracking, right? To make sure that you're exactly... There are a lot of technologies. There actually is a company that I wish I had at the tip of my tongue. They did this with VR, and they had a similar type of laser tag kind of set, and it was mapped perfectly to this digital world. So as you moved by, what looked like a wall was actually a barrier in some way. So you ended up running around what we're talking about, but they overlaid this virtual world. Now, augmented reality will allow you to see other players correctly, and we could do so many things by using what you have there. We could pick up proper props, and it's not as difficult because in VR, we have to... For example, let's say you had a prop that you had to pick up. Let's say we gave you Thor's hammer. Right. And we put weight to it, or we did things, but there's a physical item. Now, augmented reality allows you to incorporate that into the world because you could look at the exact hammer, and it could be a replica, and when you pick it up, you're looking at it, your hand's looking at it. With VR, we have to shape that and have your hands being tracked correctly, so when you go to grab an item, you'll feel it. So we don't even have to give you the haptics of making you feel like you felt an item, but we have to line it up precisely that when your hand goes out, you're tracking the exact item, which is not difficult.
Right. I mean, but if it's 3 inches off, it's going to ruin the whole experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's about like real position tracking of the actual room, of the person, of your limbs, and then other items that you're using in the game. Like imagine if the person before you knocked over the Thor's hammer. If it's not tracked correctly, in VR that could still be displaying as there's an item there. Right, where in AR you have it. Now in VR, Thor's hammer could really just be the end of a broom handle.
Right. Right.
It doesn't have to be anything because the VR is giving you all the graphics. Where AR, you would probably want to make an actual replica of the handle, but then I could use extra effects to show lightning come off it.
Right, and then also like when you smash something, you see it smashing into a bunch of pieces, right?
Yeah, and we can do so much more than that. Like, we could have you pulling a chain that's pulling a tire, but with AR is showing you the graphics. And even, again, AR, VR, we're using interchangeably because you're in a room. You're achieving a similar thing, but you're going about it in different ways. One is harder than the other. But imagine instead of you dragging this tire, which today might be part of your TRX workout or some sort of workout that might get you to drag a tire or flip a tire over 20 times, we could make it look like that you're actually dragging a bus, right? we could incorporate that into an entire scene, into a game, into a story. And reps could become something where it's not about the number. And we're going to get into later on how augmented reality can count reps in a regular gym, in your traditional gym, like your, gym 1.0 of 1.0 today. 1.0 is actually more accurate. Where with here, we could have reps looking like, when you lift up an item, we could show you graphics of looking at the item, and then maybe that item gets destroyed a little bit. And so at the end of 20 reps, it's not that you've counted 20, it's that your item has deteriorated, so it's at the 20th rep, it's now rubble. Right? We could do those things that you're not focusing on, I've got 3 sets of this amount of reps. We're telling you a story through the numbers.
Creating an objective, and until you reach that objective, you don't even realize how many times you've hit it.
Exactly.
But
you just want to destroy that thing.
Right.
And so you're focused on destroying, you're not focusing on numbers. You're not focusing on, but all those numbers are being tracked for you. So later on, the system might actually trick you, and you might be thinking that you're doing 20 reps, but it's psychologically, you're actually doing 25, but because you're not tracking it, you're actually pushing through. Right. Psychologically, a lot of us, like, to get through certain workouts, you have to psych yourself up. But if we make you think that you're doing something a little bit less, you actually could be working harder. We can make you think that you're, it looks like you're picking up a monkey, which to you might be lightweight, but really you're picking up something that could be double the weight of what a monkey would actually be, or psychologically you'd think it to be. We make that much simpler. Right. Or like we said about the plate of food shrinking smaller, we could actually make it look like you're picking up dumbbells, but written on the side is a weight that's actually 10 kilos lighter.
Right.
So psychologically you're just like, easy, lightweight. This is cool. And
that would be quite a feat to be able to match that properly, where it was negligible enough where it wouldn't actually be too difficult, right? Meaning,
well, this would be perfect in where the system wants you to move up. Now, if you had a trainer, the trainer would be like, okay, tomorrow we're going to try 15 kilo instead of 10. Here, we could actually up it every day by 2 without telling you that we're upping it. We could do it negligible.
Yeah, but if it's not negligible enough, you will feel it, and like your body will max out. Meaning, if you're max,
see, a lot of it's got to do psychological.
Really,
a lot of it is psychological. Like there are times that I come and do the same amount of reps. Now, the more sets you do, the more fatigued you'll get. But there are definite times that I've come in. And we're not talking about months apart. We're talking about days apart, where one day it's about the mindset. It's like if you tell yourself this is lightweight, or you tell yourself that like I've just got 2 more, those things make a big, big difference.
Right.
Now, if we work on different tricks, like it actually looks like it's more, it says it's more, or the graphics look like something that we've picked up before. Right? We show you a desk that looks like the same desk that you have every day, or the chair that you're used to. And in your head, you're like, oh, I've done that before. I've pushed that, I've pulled that, I've lifted it up many times before. That psychologically is going to trick your brain, is going to make it a lot easier. I don't have studies to back me up, but this is how people psych themselves up. This is how regular people can go over and above, because in workout, it's well known. It's all about the mind. It's not about your muscles.
I mean, your physical capacity comes into play, but what your limitations are much more mental.
Exactly, your limitations are psychological, and what we're saying here is one of the powers of augmented reality is we could actually solve that for you. I mean, we want to make you psychologically stronger, but we could also aid you by making things seem like.
So how would you personalize that? Like, meaning 2 different people, definitely you'll have even if they're of equal strength technically, one can be much more stronger mentally. And in order to tailor that properly to each person, right, you would be able to push the mentally stronger person a lot more, whereas the one who's not as strong mentally, you would need to do that in much more in baby steps.
Yeah.
So what would you need? A psychological eval? I mean, no, not an eval, but like you would probably need that sounds a little funny, but like you would probably need a trial in the beginning to assess where that person's holding, which that would be a whole nother area.
Yeah, and
it's not even AR anymore. We're talking about the preliminary necessary steps in order to tailor that personally would.
But these things could all be assessed while you're doing workouts. I mean, this is a little bit
So an initial workout and then go from there.
When you have a personal trainer, they'll take you through a test.
Correct, yeah.
And sometimes we'll go, a lot of tests will be like, where's your baseline? I need to see how fast you can run a kilometer. I need to see how many push-ups you can do in one sitting. They'll take you through a series of tests and find out where your baseline is. And then they'll work with you and make goals, things like that. And this is what section 3 would be. But at this point, let's just say section 3 is section 1. Everything's mixing within each other. But That's what a virtual trainer's power is going to be. It's taking a lot of data, and remember that the data, and this is what we're about to get to, which is the idea of coming into a regular gym and counting reps and looking at form and helping out. This is usually the job of a trainer. But over here, if we're already tracking you, if we've got a system that's using computer vision to read your form, where you could see this as something like, let's say you got your Apple Vision Pro. In the gym of the future, you're either, let's say, at an Apple gym in their fitness studios, or you're at home. You could place your phone down. If you've got an iPhone Pro or if you've got an iPad Pro, you've probably got a lighter inside. You've got 3 cameras. You've got a lot of computational power in those devices. You mount that on a tripod in the corner of the room that can see you well. Very simple, not simple algorithms, but today, very simply, we've already got lots of things built into Apple SDKs, and other companies have already started building pose detection, where we can see exact from what you're doing, whether you're doing a squat, whether you're doing a push-up, and we can use that to actually count that. So counting reps is something that can be done today very, very simply. I mean, I have an app that does very, very crudely for push-ups, where it uses the proximity sensor. So I place it underneath my forehead, and as I'm doing push-ups, when I come close, that proximity sensor measures the difference in brightness, and it goes, okay, that's a 1 push-up. Now, it's not completely accurate. But if I were to place my camera on the corner of the room and capture me, and I've got maybe my Apple Watch that's tracking its metrics, and maybe I'm wearing the AirPods 4, which are going to have their own metrics, because interesting enough, actually your earlobes, by your ear, there are a crazy amount of metrics that you can take. Actually, probably some even better metrics are taken than your wrist. And it's my belief that the AirPods, and there are rumors for this as well, but I really do believe that they're positioning the AirPods and the Apple Watch. Funny story, I never really liked the Apple Watch in the beginning. Very against it. Because for me, I was coming from the point of view of augmented reality is going to be infinite screen. When you have infinite screen real estate, right, which is your entire field of view, then why are you quibbling between a 2.5-inch screen on your wrist versus a 6-inch screen in your pocket versus a 10-inch screen in your bag that is very close to your 13 or 14-inch screen laptop that doesn't compare to your 27-inch screen that's on your desk, or the person that has 5 of those screens, or the guy that's working off a 100-inch screen. The difference between a lot of devices really comes down to the screen size and where it's presented. A lot of your devices if you take all your devices nowadays, I actually call this the tech implosion. If you look at all your devices, they double up on everything. Like, all these devices that we have on the table, right? We've got 6 or 7 right now, electronic devices just within arm's reach. They've all got batteries. A lot of them have, 4 of them have very, very strong CPUs and GPUs and different screens and screen protectors. And why? Why do you need all this? So augmented reality will solve this by, when you have your field of view, you have all screens and no screens, right? So the Apple Watch basically meant nothing to me, because it was like, why am I putting another screen? I'm not interested into a tiny 2.5-inch screen.
Right.
When they started pivoting and started going, oh, the Apple device's power in the healthcare benefits, in the biometrics, in what we can do with it. And actually, a funny story, before the Apple Watch came out, I saw this device, which kind of looked like a watch, but its whole thing was to wake you up by tapping you with a vibration on a part of the inside of your wrist that apparently we're very sensitive over there. And its job was basically saying why you have alarm clocks that, you're going to wake up your wife, you're going to wake up your girlfriend, person next to you is going to be woken up by your alarm clock. Here, it would tap you lightly. Only you would feel it, but because we're very sensitive, it would help bring us out. You pair that with a REM tracker and a period where you want to be woken up from the alarm, right? A half an hour period. And that will gradually wake you up so you come out naturally and you don't wake up with a start or groggy and you want to go back to bed, but it brings you out naturally into that, out of your REM sleep, into the mode, and it's a much more pleasant way of waking up. I saw that and I was like, oh, I got to have that. And then when the Apple Watch came out, I'm like, perfect, like build that in. And I believe, I don't use an Apple Watch right now, but I believe that that is a feature that has now that it'll wake you up via the haptics, the taptic engine inside of it. I don't know if they're specifically on the part of your wrist that is more susceptible, which is the inside of the wrist. But I believe it's, at least it does good enough of a job. So this is all coming back to this idea of like, all these devices are going to work together, right? And they're going to be using, augmented reality is going to be using things like computer vision to take your pose detection, right? To see the different work, the different style you're using. It's going to be able to count, it's going to be able to see it and count your reps and your sets, and your Apple Watch will be tracking your other metrics. Mm-hmm. And all this data together will accumulate into something that a personal, a virtual, a digital, an AI personal trainer, those metrics will come together in a way that that'll personalize that to you like crazy. So you can have that baseline workout, but it will also be tracking you as you go through. Way more information than a personal trainer today can give you. Now he can start putting on devices onto you and start reading the data and everything like that. But if you've got a machine, but the power of a virtual trainer is the amount of data will always be more than just a regular person that you see once a day can get. And you can do this anywhere. You can do this in your home. You can do this in your favorite gym and while you go outside. So when you go for swimming, all those different things like that, this will translate to all those areas. And that's what I believe the Apple Watch is getting to. But pair that with the computer vision of the camera in your iPhone that's doing all your tracking. Think about it when you go to the gym and you pair these together. When you get down and you're told to do, and we're back in our traditional classic gym,
right?
When you're told to do 3 reps of, 10 push-ups, you no longer have to keep that. Have you ever been like trying to listen to a podcast while working out? You can't focus on counting reps and listening to an educational podcast. You've got to focus.
You're trailing off somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can only listen to like music that's, gym pumping and things like that. And a lot of people prefer that. But sometimes I just need to catch up on my podcast and sometimes I want to do that. Right. It's impossible to keep track of how many sets, how many reps. Computer vision can track that for you. It can help you with anything that you're doing wrong. So in your form, if you're a little bit off, because it's tracking your pose and it's seeing all your extremities, all your points, it's seeing, you know what? When you're doing your push-ups, your arms are splayed out like that. They actually have to be closer to your body. Now, you can then have that augmented reality, could show that to you in a virtual partner in front of you, that it's showing you how to do it. Or as you look at your arms, it might show you a ghost version of your arms of where they're supposed to be. There's a bunch of ways that we can show you how to do it. I myself, when I don't know a pose, and I'm in a gym and I'm learning a new thing, I'll open up my phone and watch a YouTube video, or I'll get out a picture. There's only so much that I can get from that. There's no comparison to actually having someone next to me, like a person, or in this case, a virtual person, that's able to tap me and say, imagine if you could feel a little vibration over here on your right shoulder and be like, move that into your arm, where you could visually see it or you could feel it, and you've got that helper that's able to see these minute differences and help you out. They can keep track of how many you're up to, or even psychologically, skip over 1 or 2. We've all had that personal trainer that when we get to the end of it and we're dying, they're like, oh, you can do one more. You can do one more. Or they miscount it. And so you feel like, oh, you're straining and this is number 10. This is actually number like 13 or 14.
Ooh, that could backfire depending on how how easygoing the person is. Like, no, I did 10, I did 10, I did 10.
Yeah. You don't want to start arguing, but like there's a lot of psychological things that we can do to help you out. But all this data coming together from this virtual trainer coalesces. You're familiar with Khan Academy?
Yes.
There was a section of Khan Academy that I absolutely loved, and it was this idea of them saying, when we're on a computer, it's not that we're just trying to go one-on-one against a teacher. We realize that we've got so much data, so much metrics at our fingertips. When someone does a test online on a computer, we can track exactly how long each question took. We could track how long the entire test took. We could track and say, you know what, we're seeing that the trend is, and we're picking up trends from this data. If you've ever used Apple Health, and I'm going to the Apple stuff, but any Android people listening, you've got this as well. I'm sure Google has something like this. The more metrics you have, over time, you build up a trend. So this is what Khan Academy did. They were able to see, you know what, we see that every time that you get to linear equations, you're actually struggling and you're taking a minute on average longer. So they would rate that and say, okay, this is an orange instead of a green. And then they had a dashboard for the teachers. They were able to say, pair them up with a student that's green, and now Chavrusa style,
right.
They can help them out. But it's the idea of the metrics that this can really bring us. And through that, this virtual trainer will be empowered to see trends and help us do a lot more than we can normally do by ourselves.
It's so time saving. And it speeds everything up but not in like not in an anxiety filled way. It just gives you results that you would have to, in order to get those results, you would have to take so much more time. Right? Like I find sometimes that the fast pace of technology today is anxiety inducing, but in this case, it would just take away so many more tasks. It would free you up for more.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's doing the parts. Think about it, like when people are, when someone's trying to motivate you, a lazy person to go to gym, one of the things they tell them is like, take another partner, right?
Yeah.
You either go and pay for a coach that is going to be that person on your back, or you have a partner that is going to be on your back. Now, if that partner knows what they're doing and they're happy to teach you and they're happy to guide you, and that's a great option. If you have the money to go in for a personal trainer and every time, not just like once a week, and make sure that your favorite trainer doesn't then not get a ton of other clients and they're not available in the time slot that you need. Here, we have someone that can motivate you, push you, tracking everything. You don't even have to think and research. I built my own agent using new versions of ChatGPT where I gave it all my metrics. And I said, I'm this old, I'm a male, I'm this high, I weigh this much. And I told it, I said, right now I have available to me an office gym that has these specific, it's got 2 treadmills, it's got 2 bikes,
right.
It's got kettlebells with this weight, it's got a dumbbell, barbell, and then it had this one machine that had a bunch of like different things. And so I opened up the book and I just read out, and I input it into the AI. These are all the exercises that this thing can do. Make me a workout plan for the next week, every single day. And it spat one out. And then I was able to interact with it and say, you know what, today I found this really difficult. I found that too challenging. I couldn't do this. This was This was too easy. And it then fixed that. Now imagine that. That is something that I put together in 5 minutes. But imagine something like that has your health metrics from your health app that already has how old you are, your weights and everything like that.
Well, I mean, first of all, ChatGPT is not as targeted, right?
Yeah, and it's not designed for that.
Right, and it's only like data as far as reading here. And this is, I think, something we were speaking about earlier, where a lot of this stuff sounds like stuff we already have, but in a package altogether, and on a totally next level. So, like we've had stuff like Nintendo Wii or the
Microsoft Connect,
the Xbox Connect. And then you also have these, let's say the Nike running trainers, right? That personally helped me get into running without feeling like it was aimless and difficult because I had something in my ear, pre-recorded, but in my ear, just pushing me, and it wasn't personalized. Yeah. Here you can have all these different things with AI hooked up to all these different things that speak to all of your senses.
Yeah.
And now it's scary. Like you're in you have two worlds, literally live in two worlds, and then you merge those two worlds together.
But that's the thing. Think of how powerful. Like you said, Nike Run app, and I use that as well, and I love that as well. And you made a very good point. Like, it helps a lot, but it's not even personalized to you. Imagine when that voice becomes personalized, that not only speaks to you, speaks your name,
right?
But it knows exactly what you're capable of. It knows how to push you. And those things, yes, will be, people that develop it are going to look into things that won't cause more harm than they do good. Right. But imagine if it knows by the world around it and the context through augmented reality that you're now taking an outdoor run to Prospect Park. Mm-hmm. Now that it knows that, it might say, you know what, take a little breather and just go check out the pond for a second. As you're walking past the pond. And it says, this is exactly what you need. You need a break for a second. Or see the water cooler over there. Quickly, you have 5 seconds, go get a sip of water. Yeah,
and it can also, I could just imagine, this is so funny that I'm mentioning GTA, but GTA style arrows and, light ups where you don't have to look, where left is. You don't have to figure out if 200 feet or 200 meters is as far as you think it is, where it's just right in front of your face and you know exactly where you need to go.
So for a lot of people, this is actually when people that are gamers, a lot of you guys are already experiencing augmented reality just in a very virtual setting.
Right.
You can bring that out. Like what you just said now, by not having to look at different numbers, that's the concept that I call follow the yellow brick road. That's navigation, where you're digitally painting the lane. And when you digitally paint the lane or lanes that you need to be on, so imagine if you're on a highway with 4 lanes and you've got 10 more kilometers until your exit, all 4 lanes are painted blue.
Right.
But as you're approaching it, the lanes start fading with the safe distance of where you need to merge. So you don't need a voice that pipes up. You don't need, you don't need any of these reminders around you. You can have them, but you no longer need icons and specific numbers and street names and take the west. Or you're getting on the north. You're literally in front of you, and you just have to make sure that you're standing on it. Actually, an idea that I'm bringing together navigation and this, when I'm riding in Prospect Park or when I'm riding, sometimes if I'm riding a bike and there's someone coming up on me and someone's slow in front of me and I need to turn around them, now I need to look around me, right? But if I forget, that could be a collision. Augmented reality could, if it has the right sensors, could highlight the road and kind of make it red around it. Kind of show it that this blind spot is now dangerous. Kind of how you have the little lights in a car? Augmented reality could bring that to you by making the road look like lava on the side. That's a that's
how in Waze you can have optional voices.
Yeah,
you can just have crazy visuals for the road.
So you can go as crazy as possible, or it could be just a simple light that comes on and says there's someone in your blind spot. When you're riding a bike, there's a lot of people in your blind spot.
I'm just thinking, how people look at hotwire a car. So you can kind of mess around with the technology where now it'll show you exactly where you need to go to cut off all the traffic.
Yeah.
You can,
It'll make you Superman. but these icons, when you're bringing together augmented reality, when you're merging these two worlds, where before Nike app was just a voice in my ears, right? Nike app could become maybe a hologram of the actual trainer jogging next to me, or even a hologram of yourself on a previous run. Right, you have that in a lot of video games already. Imagine if when you go on a run, you literally see a week-old Yossi who's 5 meters in front of you. Or if you're doing really good, 100 meters behind you. And that spurs you, that motivates you. As you turn around, you see a week-old Yossi running behind you, puffing, trying to keep up. And you're just breezing, you're like, oh my God, this is how I got better. I can visualize, I can see how I'm doing better.
Yeah, and then you turn around and you're amateur, and then the guy next to you gets offended
and punches you out, and that's the end of the gym session.
No, but in all seriousness, an error, a glitch, could be deadly.
Yes. Well, that I think is with everything.
Well,
but it depends what a glitch is. It depends what you consider to be a glitch.
Well, it's a discrepancy between augmented reality and reality. Can be deadly, meaning because if it differs from everything around you, then it can really,
Well, the idea is augmented reality is overlaid on your real world, right? And it respects the real world. Virtual reality would be deadly if you go out and you can't see the world and you're getting a virtual feed. If it's missing something, then you could go into,
So you're saying you would never...
Not never. It depends how deep... See, the way I view it is that AR and VR are not completely separate. They're on a spectrum. Mm-hmm. Augmented reality just happens to be at the, let's say, transparent spectrum. And virtual reality just happens to be the non-transparent. So I really see augmented reality eating up virtual reality, where think of contact lenses in the future.
So it could turn it obsolete.
They will merge together.
Okay.
They are really one device, just there's so much technology in AR that has to catch up that right now it's a completely separate device. And right now they have two very different functions, but very soon they'll overlap. Think of a world where your augmented reality contact lenses that you see through, when you close your eyes...
Is totally impossible in my mind.
It's impossible. We'll get to that in a new... But if you think about it, VR is just closing your eyes when you have these contact lenses. When the world goes dark behind it, then you can be in a completely virtual world where you no longer have to care about the world around you, and now we can go crazy. Physics doesn't have to be here. I don't have to observe anything. I can be in my virtual world and do anything. And that's where if you want to walk around, you need to have some sort of treadmill or something like that. When you mix the two worlds, AR is really on that spectrum, and that's why I don't really like the term MR or mixed reality, because that just happens to be placing another dot on this spectrum. It's basically sliding the AR a little bit further and saying I'm just putting a little bit more things on top of this wheel.
So you're saying rather than kind of using AR as an add-on to VR, do the exact opposite. Is that
yeah. AR is just any slider along this spectrum until it hits VR. AR is all along this entire thing. It's where you see the world and you could put anything. So AR could be very as simple as me. Let's keep it within the gym. AR could be very simple as it looks like I've painted on handprints to show me where my hands need to be during a push-up.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be crazy graphics, things like that. It just looks like someone's either painted on a handprint or someone's put a sticker of even a circle, even a sticker of a circle and says, place your hands here, and this is where your hands need to be for this kind of push-up. Oh, wide push-ups? Now the circles are further apart, and this is where your hands go. AR can be as simple as that, right? You're going to do a bench press, and you don't know, is your grip supposed to be close or wide or regular? AR could highlight, or as if someone's taken a painter and has painted a bit of that bar, whatever color, pink, blue, black, doesn't matter, and it just says grip where the color is.
Right, wow, and that's so interesting because that also brings to my mind the idea that the customizability is infinite.
Exactly.
I can go as minimal as I want, or I can say I only want AR when I'm doing reps. Or you can say I want the whole thing. I want the whole package, right? I want to be Indiana Jones today. You know what I mean?
Precisely. You could exactly how you said it. You could have it where your push-ups are, this is literally where I'm going, and there's a number in front of me that's going 1, 2, 3. Or as I'm going, it feels like there's a log that's just swinging on top of me, and my push-ups have to keep going. Where when I'm up, I need to make sure that I get down on the ground as the log swings above me, and I'm Indiana Jones, and I'm in a jungle.
Right. Yeah.
It could be as whatever part of that spectrum it is. It could go crazy. This is why these future gyms, it's not replacing the current gym, because the current gym uses the reps and shows you how to do it and introduces you to the machines. Imagine if you go into a gym and you see just a bunch of machines, you have no idea what to do there. But if there was a holographic you or a holographic trainer that's sitting there and showing you how to position, where to move your hands and things like that, explains you a little bit and lets you go, and then vibrates your arm or shows some graphics or does things that tweaks you to say, a little bit more here, you're doing well, okay, counts your reps, things that, all that's teaching you how to use the normal machines. The treadmill could be as simple as AR is just wrapping around a beautiful environment. So I'm on a regular treadmill, but instead of a small little screen in front of the treadmill that maybe I'm lucky and I've got a high-end treadmill, like we've seen with the Vision Pro, and we know from what we were talking about 10 minutes ago, that the power of AR is it could be zero screen or infinite screen, right? It's your entire field of view. So it could be that I just wrap around an entire view of riding through Central Park or riding up a mountain. And now whatever incline or anything like that is matched to the terrain that I'm running on. And that could be the extent of my augmented reality. Or I could be riding on the road and seeing versions of my team, or riding in a gym, but everybody riding next to me now in my field in that wraparound are all on the track with me, or are all on the dirt with me. They're not in a row, some are in front of me, depending on their time and speed and things like that. So
right, wow.
You can go as simple as possible and crazy as possible. And that's why just to recap a little bit, we've talked about regular gym. We've talked about a system that's using pose detection, using computer vision to be able to just see that you're doing the right workout. We're using the same type of things to count your reps, to count your sets, help you out over there. We're using this to make sure your form is incredibly good, that you're holding bars in the right way, you're doing push-ups in the right way, you're coming up high enough in a burpee, right? And in a burpee we could have a visual of a line, a very simple line that says you just need to jump up to there. Or
right.
High knees, we put like a broom that every time you got your knees above it, it turns a different color and lets you know that you've done it and counts it with you. These things help you to make sure your form is correct. Right. And we've seen how that works in a gym, right? A regular gym. We also can see how that works with running, swimming, cycling. We can show you while you go swimming, you can have augmented reality inside your goggles, and it doesn't just have to show you numbers. Again, it doesn't have to be the very basics heads-up display style that some people are visualizing when they put on goggles. It could be that as your head comes down and you're looking at the bottom of the screen, the bottom of the pool, that pool becomes your screen. And I can show you metrics as you glance down. When you're looking down, I could show you that you're on the lane properly. Wow. I could show you how many laps you've done, how long, all your different things.
Just form when it comes to swimming. I think swimming form is one of the most daunting things for beginners. Like when you want to start doing, let's say in the gym, a squat, okay, you might not go as low or whatever, but like you kind of get it right away. Like don't let your knees go past your toe, like all these different things. But when it comes to swimming, it's really a lot of coordination, and it takes really slow and like deliberate movements.
Yeah, 100%. I can just now visualize that you're in the pool and you're trying to figure out how to do a breaststroke, and you're seeing a ghost arm. And all you have to do is just make sure that your hand is there. And after a few reps of following this ghost arm, it's now perfectly synced to you. And so now you're finding out how to do these different strokes using your arm in the pool. It's not looking at someone else in a video. It's contextualizing, it's bringing out. That is actually the one power word that I would actually bring to augmented reality. If you're going to think about anything about if you're going to try summarize augmented reality or what is the power, it's that augmented reality is all about context. It's bringing into this world you right now, right here, right now, right? Time and space over here. So to finish off the summary, all these different things, right? Running, indoor, outdoor, swimming, indoor, outdoor, triathlon, cycling, all these metrics, how many times you've done laps, taking it from just numbers to an entire experiencing with friends across the world, or different experiences where I want to see what it's like to ride on the top of the mountains. This will be wrapped around you. And I'm sure Apple will be building something, or someone's going to build something for the Vision Pro. I don't know how comfortable it will be to ride with it, or running probably won't be comfortable at all. It's probably too heavy. Riding, I don't know if you can stay steady, but I can totally see with that immersive view with the digital crown going in and out of like what it's like to hike down a Guatemalan cobble road street, or up a Tibetan mountain and seeing the beautiful scenery, or just riding through Times Square in New York. But
kind of a weird experience if you're on carpet and you're walking down cobblestone road.
And I'd be like, this is actually how the cobblestones feel like in Guatemala. We'll change this up for you. So bringing this all together, there are so many things that we can do in the gym. The current gym would be phenomenal, just helping out regularly you and I to figure out how to do a workout.
Right.
Count for me, tell me what to do. I don't want to think, I just want to do the movements. You're constructing it. The virtual coach is taking all these metrics that might be mounted in the gym in the corners, or it might be as simple as just your iPhone on a stand, And it's taking these metrics and it's counting what you need, helping you for the next time, and helping you get better and better, personalizing it. Not just one coach that's recorded one time and you're following them, but here's making sure every single journey, they're making it better and better. It's being crafted by top-level athletes, top-level coaches, and they could make virtual versions of themselves and have them all over the world, but crafted specifically to you. It's not just someone speaking to you from a video screen. It's an actual 3D model, a hologram that could be sitting next to you. It's a ghost image that's actually showing you slight different changes of where your hands need to be, right? Different areas that are showing you the pose, things like that, that you can't get in a TV screen, that you can't get in a phone that's just talking to you.
Right.
And there are tons of technology in this. This is going to be coming out as the glasses get smaller and as Apple moves from pseudo-augmented reality more into augmented reality and people start building these experiences. We're going to get to a world where the gym will never be the same.
Dude, this is crazy for developers too.
Yep, we're going to get into developers. We're also going to, I want to talk about Vision Pro another time, and I want to talk about, I don't actually know what my next episode will be after the gym. What do you normally do after the gym?
Take a shower.
Take a shower. Okay, so next episode will be augmented reality in the shower.
That's interesting.
Just that everybody's like, everyone is perk up like, ooh, okay, how can we make this better? Imagine showering at the top of the Himalayas. No, so I don't yet have down what the next episode will be, but it will be a day in the life. So we'll probably head to the office.
Right.
Maybe we might take the life of a digital nomad that might go take a quick walk through a city or through a village. No. So we'll see. We might do a little bit of an adventure. But today was all about the gym, looking at different things, metrics, simple, and we went crazy. We also looked at gyms that are like newly custom, like what kind of gyms could come out where the graphics and everything is so realistic that it's a huge warehouse, but everyone's running around doing what happens when CrossFit or TRX or these things can become experiences in different lands, in different countries, in different times. What would that look like when your mind is preoccupied with the journey and the goal rather than the numbers or the circuit and things like that? So I think it's pretty cool. AR has the potential to revolutionize not just the gym, but the way that we work out, the different styles of gyms that are going to come, and the way that we work out outdoors. Because I don't know about you, but my outdoor runs in Prospect Park are about to get crazy. I'm going to have dragons chasing after me. This is going to revolutionize exercise. It's going to make it more immersive, more enjoyable. I encourage you guys for the next time that you work out, and it doesn't matter where, because we've covered all types of workouts. Think about how AR could have helped you. Just come up with one idea of thinking about either what we talked about and seeing how that would help you in your gym, in your session. Or come up with a new idea that I haven't talked about now. Put in the comments. We'll shout it out in a future episode. If you think of more ideas of AR in different parts of your life, comment that as well, and we'll bring them out.
Along with your 5-star rating.
Oh, 100%. 5-star rating, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Augmented reality is not just a game changer in the gym, it's going to be a game changer in your life. And it doesn't have to be just the fantastical. It's also just going to be those small things are going to be the most magical. Guys, embrace the future of fitness, unlock a new level of motivation, stay active, stay AR powered, and I'll see you guys in the future.
All right.
Thanks, Yossi. This was amazing.
My pleasure.
We got to do this again.
Yes, sir.
Cheers.